Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another week of all things Arkansas basketball. I have another PTN member with me this week, Evan Kamko. Thanks so much for joining me. Got a lot to talk about. A very exciting game that went down last night.
Very exciting, very disappointing depending on what edge of the aisle that you sit on. If you're an Alabama fan, man, you love that. If you're an Arkansas fan, I don't know if you're like upset, and we'll talk about it, but I think you're a little annoyed.
Yeah. I would be. I mean, and Cal was post-game naturally. I mean, double overtime, you end up losing by just a couple points.
Yeah.
Like, you're so close and you thought you had it, but then it just almost feels like it slipped through their fingertips.
It's funny. I got asked this morning, and it seems like this is a theme of the season so far, where I got asked this morning when I was playing tennis by one of the pros who I hit with every week, and he was like, what do you think of this game? Like, what do you think of this season as a whole? Like, is last night's loss disappointing? Because he's like, hey, I think it's disappointing. And my answer was because this is another game where you've had and you've given it away. This Arkansas team has no reason to not be, they're 8-5 right now in conference. You have no reason not to be 11-1, 10-2 in conference and right there with Florida for an SEC regular season title. But the reality is you've given up too many games when it comes to some of those marquee games. You could beat Michigan State, could have beat Duke, you could have beat Houston. And then in SEC, like, you find a way to blow a 14-point lead last night. You go back, you lost pretty badly on the road at Auburn, pretty badly on the road at Georgia. Games you shouldn't be losing, you're finding ways to lose. And it's disappointing when you look at the whole scale of it of like, man, this was another game you had in your grasp that you're giving up that was prime real estate for the taking to be competitive for the number one overall seed come tournament time in Nashville next month.
Almost. And then at the very end of each overtime, it felt like Malik Ewan had those last chances to literally dunk the ball like inches away from the hoop, but could not get it done.
I think
the
Arkansas,
last one just went off the back of the rim. I was like, oh, it's so close.
I think all Arkansas fans were upset that it was Malik Ewan with the chance because we've known he's had a rocky season. And last night clearly played pretty badly the entire game, but you have those moments and you've got to make the most of the few moments that you have. And it feels like with Malik, especially in that game against Alabama, not able to do so. So it's disappointing that he can't put the ball in from pretty much point blank range. But at the same time, you can't have four guys fouling out. You can't be playing Elmer Jafic and Jaden Carletwa. No offense to the two of them, good basketball players in their own right. But you really think you're going to win in Coleman Coliseum with those guys in double overtime? 9 times out of 10, you don't. It's just the magic of Darius Acuff Jr.'s record-breaking night that even gave you a chance to win a game that, let's be honest, you should have put your foot on their throat when you were up 14 points. Or Director Anderson just gave me a look right there. He was like, your throat. And at the end of the day, like, you're not going to win many games if your guys are fouling out left and right. And this is really, I will say, the first time in the Coach Cal era where we've seen a shortened rotation and Arkansas actually fouling out of the game. Sometimes we've seen one guy, maybe two. This is the first time where it really felt like 4 guys were fouling out. Now, Mike Irwin will say on that Malik Ewan put back at the end of the game, he thought he was fouled. Look, it's clean. They're not gonna call that any of the week. Those refs want to go home as badly as I wanted that game to end so I can finish highlights and sound for my 9 o'clock show.
Yeah. We'll get to the foul trouble in a little bit. There's a lot to talk about there, but you mentioned it, and that's where I wanted to go next. Darius Acuff Jr. He is now, not that he wasn't before, but now receiving even more national attention than ever. 49 points, the most points by a freshman versus an AP-ranked opponent in college basketball history ever. Outstanding.
Yeah.
And then also the most points by a freshman in program history.
Yeah.
So yes, this loss stings so bad, but you have a really bright spot in Darius Acuff, which he has been all season long, but you have that to hold on to. 49 points. Yeah. He didn't come off the floor once.
No, I think he averaged, he played 50 minutes and put up 49 points. At one point, I think Carl Ravage said he is averaging 49 points.
Yeah.
Or averaging 1 point per minute in this game. It is ridiculous what he's been able to do. Can we name him SEC Player of the Week finally?
I was literally going to ask
Can we
you that.
name him that? Because there's a due diligence that the SEC is doing. And look, it's great that he's broken the Freshman of the Week record, but how many times can you break a Freshman of the Week record and be Freshman of the Week and not be Player of the Week?
What about Player of the Year? Can he be in talks for that yet?
I absolutely think he is. I don't know if he's necessarily there yet. And again, I don't know a lot about the totality of college basketball right now to say who my favorites are. Obviously, I think, you've got Koa Pete is right up there. Some other really good freshmen around the country. Cameron Boozer's right there. But so I think Acuff is in the conversation, but I don't necessarily think I'm ready to say it's him yet.
Okay.
But he should be in the conversation, and rightfully so.
All right, well, ESPN's Kendrick Perkins said that Acuff's the best point guard that Cal's ever coached. He said that he would now be taking him as his number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah. Good thing I don't have to jump in Lake Norm anymore. I will say, like, I tweeted before, like, game 2, maybe even
I
the
remember
Cincinnati
this. We were
exhibition.
sitting in bud together.
Yeah, and I tweeted, if Darius Acuff isn't a lottery pick, I will jump into Lake Norm like Steel Eves did. Thank God I don't have to do that. That would be really embarrassing.
Let's pull
That'd be
that
rough.
up. We need to have that on standby.
We
so
can, like,
just
clip
in
that
case.
somewhere,
Yeah.
just that, like, picture.
Yeah. Yes, we'll put that somewhere.
That'd be awkward.
But then also some NBA players right now. Trae
Yeah.
Young tweeting out that Darius Acuff's one of them. Next ones, Isaiah Thomas, Acuff, the coldest PG in college basketball. Like, these are some guys that have made waves in the NBA, and they're recognizing as freshmen.
I love the fearlessness that Acuff plays with. There's something about it where he's not afraid to go downhill and drive. And we've seen that the Oklahoma game, the way that ended is he was driving. Most times freshmen are going to like pull up and shoot a ball and try to play hero ball. And he had to do that with the 3 at the end of the game because to get to overtime, you had to hit a 3. So situationally, Acuff would rather drive to the basket and attack fearlessness. And you like fearless. English is hard, people.
Fearlessly.
We're working on it. It's Thursday afternoon. It's basically my Friday. But I love just his attitude and mentality and that he is cold and he's a stone cold killer, I think is what everybody has kind of been describing him as. And that's what you need, especially in March. I have worries outside of him as to why they can't go far in March. But if Darius Acuff has the ball and we're in March Madness in 4 weeks from today and he has to go win you a game in the round of 32, absolutely he's going to do it. I will put money 9 times out of 10 that Darius Acuff is going to win you a game in March because of the fearlessness, getting to the basket, getting the N1 to go, and just overall being an electric scorer.
Well, that's what makes him so hard of a guard to guard because he can pull up from a 3. He has that jump shot. He has a floater. He has a layup. He has so many moves around the rim. Or he doesn't have to keep it himself. He can draw in 2 or 3 defenders and then kick it out to somebody on the wing like Billy.
Can we talk about like how nice his mid-range game is? I think
my
that's
gosh,
just gone
so
so underrated.
smooth.
Because I know in like today's basketball, the mid-range game is dead, right? Like we don't have... Like, DeMar DeRozan is really the last true mid-range guy in the NBA, in my opinion. Other than that, it's threes or you get down to the basket.
Yeah.
I would love to see Darius Acuff Jr. bring back the mid-range game. And I know Cal wanted that last year with Boogie Flan, but there's a clear difference between these two players. It's why Boogie left for Florida, because of what Darius Acuff was going to do. And you've seen that. The ball in his hands, I would trust him to shoot anywhere on the floor. And I do love what you said. The kick-out ability, the assist ability of Acuff to find guys. Now, I had some problems with DJ Wagner shooting 8 threes last night, 7-8 threes. That's a problem I have. We'll get there in just a second. But I love, because you're right. Like, my favorite play to watch is Acuff driving to the basket, kicking out to Trevin Brazil, and Trevin actually making it. Now, he hasn't been very good since January 25th. I think he's shooting like 21% from beyond the arc since conference play started. Same with Billy. So if Carter Knox isn't there and there's no Malik Thomas, Arkansas really struggles from beyond the arc. But I love that play. I know you love that play. The TB to Darius, the Darius Acuff to TB 3-pointer is my favorite play in basketball to watch right now.
And just a little side note on TB, he only had 11 points last night, but he had, I think it was 3 blocks, I want to say. Yeah, 3 blocks. So he's doing other things that contribute to this team, playing good defense. Like, there were a couple times down low, he was in the paint with his arm. He's so long and so athletic. Like, he's now, I think, kind of figuring out how to use that to its most ability. It's
just mentality for me is the issue with Trevin Brazil, where like, and Cal said it, if Trevin is scoring, he's in a good mood. But if he's not scoring, he doesn't really care for the game and to impact the game. Somehow you have to get through to him, right? To impact the game and say, hey man, you're not going to have 25, 30 points every single night. Darius Acuff might. Darius Acuff clearly has. But you need to find ways for your mentality to be okay so you can impact the game as if you were scoring 25 to 30 points a night. The NBA is not going to cut it if you mope and gloat after a 3-block night with 11 points in the middle of the game when you can't get going. You have to find different ways to get involved in the game. And that's my biggest gripe with Trevin Brazil. Here's a great story about him. Like, I go to SEC tournament last year, and we're in the locker room. This is post-game. It was Ole Miss. He missed the 2 free throws that would have tied the game or given Arkansas the lead. And then, the kid from Ole Miss, Sean Padula, hit the crazy 3. Ole Miss wins it. And I go up to Trevin after the game. And I say to him, and I'm like, hey, man, I got a job to do. Like, you got some time to talk to media. And it's an open locker room. We have access to all these guys. And he says no and walks away. He goes, nah, man, I'm good. And it's like, I understand that, like, you had a bad miss at the end of the game. But you've got to take accountability. And I feel with Trevin, there's not necessarily accountability at times that he takes in moments like that. Because you've got to find, because it's all mentality, right? Oh, I messed up at the end of the game. Oh, I can just get away with saying no. No, you can't. Like, you have to take accountability.
NBA.
Right. And in the NBA, it's open locker room every single night. If you do that in the NBA, you bet your butt all these, NBA reporters are going to come up to you and want to talk to you at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So you've got to change your mentality for Trevin Brazile. And that's just been my gripe with him since covering him 3 years ago, even under Eric Musselman.
To flip it back to Acuff also, because I think Acuff does this really well, is taking accountability. Yeah. After a play, if he throws the ball away or if he turns it over, anything like that, he points to himself. He's like, guys, that was on me. That's my bad. And I think that is something that a lot of the other players have acknowledged and almost admire about Acuff is he is so young. He's 18 years old?
Yeah.
And he's owning up to these 20, 21, 22-year-old guys that he's playing with that are far beyond his years of, hey, that one was on me. And I think that's something that his other players that he plays with could learn from as well.
And even other freshmen, you talk about Darren Peterson from Kansas, there are moments, and just the other night he was caught on camera, missed a shot and was yelling at Bill Self, and Bill Self went to go pull him right away. And that's not the mentality you want to have if you're a projected early round pick. We don't see, we see Cameron Boozer doing it, but AJ DePonsta out at BYU, he's not always doing that. He isn't what Darius Acuff is to this team in Provo. So it's really interesting, the leadership quality that Acuff has, and he really had to win that and take that over from DJ Wagner. Yep. And that's kind of been, we talk about the down year that DJ is having, maybe not the step forward, but it's the ebbs and flows of it, because this kid is doing what you thought DJ was going to do this year, and maybe even better.
Yeah. Well, Darius Acuff, an absolutely outstanding player, proving it week after week. Another big game coming up for them, but we still have more to talk about this double overtime matchup against Alabama. Stick with us. All right, welcome back in. Lots to talk about because we just talked about all of the offense that went on. 49 points for Darius Acuff Jr. Absolutely outstanding performance from him. But lots and lots of fouls. And that's because it was a very physical game. Cal came out in the post-game press conference and was telling us, hey, these guys were fighting through screens on both ends of the floor. And that obviously resulted in a ton, capitalized T-O-N, ton of fouls.
Yeah, capitalized T-O-N. I mean, I think you need to emphasize T-O-N. Yeah. I mean, the count, and usually when you look at fouls, you want to see how fair they are called one way or another, right? Alabama had home field advantage, or home court advantage, if you will. Typically, they're going to get favored in a statistic like that. But what upsets me is when I look at this box score, it's not close. It's 26 fouls to 17 in Alabama's favor. You're really telling me that Arkansas, and some of them, I thought Malik Thomas got called for some cheap fouls, but there were other fouls that he got called for that were right. Don't shove a guy when he's driving. That's simple common sense.
Right.
And you're going to get fouled every time. So those I agree with. I didn't think it was officiated terribly.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at the final line and it's 26 to 17, then you start thinking, did Arkansas really foul 9 more times than Alabama? Because Alabama said postgame, Nate Oates and LeBaron Philon said after the game, we know they're short lineup-wise. We wanted to get them in foul trouble. But when your fouling discrepancy is 9 fouls, and that results in, I think Arkansas shot 6 free throws by the end of regulation, when Alabama had close to 25, you're not going to win many games like that. And credit to Alabama, that was what they wanted to do.
Right.
But on the flip side, it's if you're Arkansas, you had to play a little dirty. I wouldn't say dirty is the right word, but you had to play more physical because that's what Alabama was trying to do. So naturally, when you're down rotational guys and you're missing 2 guys in Knox and Isaiah Sealy, really one guy, Sealy, played a little bit in that away stretch at LSU and Mississippi State and didn't play at all against Auburn. But when you're down guys, you've got to find ways to backfill. And unfortunately, you couldn't, and you knew you can't foul. And we've seen this team every time they're short rotational guys until last night, maybe have one guy foul. Something we were talking about a little bit ago. But this kind of felt like that first game where the players really lost control foul-wise. Maybe it was fair. Maybe it wasn't fair. I'll let everyone at home be the judge. We're going to be unbiased here and say that, it was called the way it was called, whatever. Be mad if you want, Arkansas fans, or come after me for saying that. I don't care. Most of you hate me anyway. But at the end of the day, I just think that if you look at the foul discrepancy, you've got to be able to weigh to even that out a little bit. And I do think it was poorly called at times in Alabama's favor. Yeah.
And towards the end of the game, there was one call. I think it was TB who was called for goaltending. And they reviewed it, and then they were like, nope, call stands. And then the guys back in headquarters for ESPN, whatever, all the other officiated, all the other
in
refs.
Birmingham,
they went back and reviewed it and they're like, no, you need to take a look at this again. And then they ended up overruling it. And I was like, okay, at least that's a sign of like more
Well, but that's
equal
goaltending.
officiating.
Like,
yes.
but that's goaltending. Like, that's different than fouling.
Yes.
I mean, you can't review a lot of fouls. If there were technicals that started to get called, kind of like, oh my God, what game was it a couple of weeks ago where I think it was Kentucky?
Yeah.
When everyone was
gosh.
getting technicals left and right. Like, that's one thing. But again, goaltending, I do get your point, though, where it's like, yeah, at least Arkansas did catch some breaks.
Do you think that was and not to get too much into the refs
let's get
talk,
into it.
But okay. Okay, let's go. Do you think that was kind of the refs, like, essentially a little bit of a makeup call? Like, trying to kind of put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste tube, I guess?
No, I don't think that was really a makeup call per se, because there was nothing to make up in this game. If you're Arkansas, you have a 14-point lead in this game.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me that you scored 57 points in the first half. You had a 14-point lead at one point early in the second, maybe like late in the first, and you lost this game and you scored 150 points. Like, no, take the refs out of this, people. Like, take the refs completely out of this game. You lost this game because your defense folded. You let Alabama get back into it. Quite frankly, Coleman Coliseum was freaking dead last night. It was dead at one. Like, the start of the game, there was no atmosphere. Jimmy Dykes was saying, oh, man, look at what this atmosphere is like. And same with Carl Ravitch. And then they panned to the fans and it was empty. You didn't lose this game because of bad reffing. You didn't. You lost this game because your defense, once again, can't stop a middle school girls basketball team.
Perfect. This is where I was going
It's
next.
a good segue
Would love to get your thoughts on the defense a little bit further than what you just said there.
It's ebbs and flows of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, Arkansas, they did a great job. They didn't turn the ball over last night. And I think I was reading the stat earlier where with the limited turnovers they had, 115 plus points, 9 times out of 10, you win that basketball game. They were like 247 in NCAA D1 and 0 in games where teams hit that statistic. Now it's 247 and 1. I do think it's a little bit of a caveat because there are going to be games, especially when we get to next month, where you're going to have to score a lot of points. And we've seen that. Like, every game is different. Every game has a different story. But, man, you've got to find a way to clean up the defense somehow. I mean, for as good as Darius Acuff is on the offensive side of the glass, he just lets too many people go right by him. I mean, they got dominated in the paint last night. Pringle didn't really hold his own very well. TB didn't. Ewan didn't. They struggled
defense
down low.
In the paint has been a struggle since last season.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Cheryl, got his way down low. I think he ended with 22 points for the Tide.
Yeah.
So I do think defense is a problem, but they are so good on offense where they can afford to have bad defensive games like that.
Yeah.
The problem is when you get to March Madness and you're facing Alabama in the Sweet 16 trying to get through, can your defense get you a couple stops at the end? Clearly, at the end of regulation, when Alabama scored 13 straight baskets, they couldn't do it. You couldn't get a stop. So it's bad, but there's a caveat to it because of the way the game went. You were okay with bad defense because your offense was able to get anything they wanted on the other. Darius Acuff, let me rephrase that, was able to get whatever he wanted on the other side of the glass. I mean, I think you can overreact to defense, but at the end of the day, when you lose a game by 2 points, whether it's because, Ailey, let me ask you this: like, would we be having a different conversation if it was 64-62 versus 115 to 117?
Yes, because that means your defense was much more present. Yes,
but your offense couldn't get going.
Yes,
even though you lost by 2 points, still.
I could never see Arkansas scoring that little amount of points.
It's a hypothetical question. By the way, they have scored that low of points before. I'm going to go look this up really quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Arkansas's season lowest output on points was 76. Okay, so maybe not like 62, but let's call it like if they lost 78 to 76.
Okay.
Would you still be upset at the defense? If we're talking
yes, because I feel like one of them has to show up.
Where you have the lead towards the end of the game and then your defense doesn't show up at the end. Would we still be talking about this even if it was low scoring?
I think so because either your offense or your defense has to show up.
Yeah.
Like, if you're having a slow start on offense, okay, like, let's say for Billy, for example, I think he's the perfect person to pick out for this.
Okay.
If he's not scoring on the offensive end, 110% that he is going to be putting in the work on defense. He does that even if he is scoring on the offensive end. But he is a prime player to highlight of, if you can't get it going on offense, make sure that you're doing something on defense. You need to be on the floor with a purpose.
Right.
And if you're not, then you're not going to be on the floor for very long.
So let's go back to Michigan State.
Okay.
69 to 66 Arkansas. We know what happened in that game. It felt like the same game as this game, but kind of that other scenario where Arkansas scoring output wasn't what it was, but the defense kept them in it, yada, yada, yada. And they, had a lead at one point in East Lansing, and then they end up losing. But we're talking about the offense instead of the defense. Is it a problem that this defense, when they need to get a stop late in games, in some of these tight contests, can't get that stop?
Yes, I think it's a huge problem, especially like we were just referencing, or you were just referencing in March Madness, playing in the postseason. When you're playing against these teams, you can't give that up because there are teams that you're going to be playing, especially if you're in the Sweet 16, that are going to have fantastic offense and fantastic defense that will be able to stop Darius Acuff Jr.
So we can agree, again, this is all situational depending on hypothetical and all on scoring output, right?
Yes.
Like 115 to 117 is no different than 69-66 when your defense can't stop anyone at the end. Just want to make sure we're on the same page as that.
Yes.
That's the point of this argument.
This is a friendly debate. This is like debate club in
Hammer the gavel. Oh, I wasn't a big debate club guy.
Really?
Yeah, no.
I could see that for you.
We were sports talk radio, but we didn't. No, I wasn't debate guy.
Oh, okay. I feel like I could see that
They
for
didn't
you.
like me.
Maybe. Well, there we go.
It might have been a little too confrontational.
Didn't make the cut. Yeah, didn't make the cut because you were too good at it.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. All right, stick around. We're going to be back after the break. All right, welcome in for the last segment. We've been having, I feel like, way too much fun with this. This has been awesome.
There are certain podcasts that I'm surprised they let us air on CTV. This is going to be one of them. And we haven't sung yet either. And the last time I was on a CTV show and sang, we got in trouble.
We'll refrain from that for
So we're not going to sing any songs. But we've been having way too much fun.
Okay.
Hopefully you guys have too.
So, to wrap up our talk, I guess, about this Alabama game, the double OT, historic performance, but dropped the game. Is this the best game of the year so far?
I mean, it's not even close.
I couldn't even finish it. You were like, yes.
Yeah, like I've been waiting to answer this. I mean, what game would you put up here when it comes to Arkansas? Michigan State? No, yeah, sure, it was entertaining, but I don't think it because of the importance of this game in conference play and what it meant for postseason seeding in Nashville in a couple of weeks, plus the regular season title. I do think that this was game of the year. We haven't seen a game like this at all. I mean, I think there was an Iowa State game a couple of days ago that was really good as well, but nowhere near this. I mean, nowhere near as historic as what we saw with Darius Acuff, setting the freshman scoring record, the most points in a conference game by a Razorback since 1993, I want to say, beating that and setting it all time. I think you brought that up in the open. So hands down, far and away, this is probably the game of the year in college basketball.
Yeah, I completely agree. Very entertaining. I had friends texting me who don't watch Arkansas sports, who probably started watching a little bit because I'm here now. Yeah. But they're like, oh my God, are you watching this game? I'm like, yes, guys, I am watching this game. It's
I get paid to watch this game and talk about it tomorrow, guys.
Exactly. Like, let me know what you guys think, actually. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think I completely agree. Yeah, like, best game of the year so far. And pretty much, if you've been on any type of social media so far today, or even last night after the game, it's unanimous.
The big sentiment has been game of the year, the chutzpah, to use some Yiddish that we were talking about, of Darius Acuff Jr. to score 49 points, but overall you're mad about the loss.
Yes. Now let's look ahead. You have family coming into town, which is so exciting. Yeah. We did the whole rundown before we started this. We don't have to.
They're excited. I'm not.
Okay, well, maybe cut that out. They don't need to hear that.
They can hear that.
Oh, okay. They know about
They can hear it.
Okay.
My mom calls me yesterday and goes, are you excited for us to come into town? And I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm excited. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, my dad's like, this game is insane. I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'm cutting highlights for this game right now. I don't really have time to talk.
Wait, I can go on a tangent on this because, like, I feel like my parents, they understand what I do, but they're like, oh, we can just call her whenever. And I'm like, well, no, like, I'm working. And the best is when I'm working a game. I'll be on the sidelines. This was like when I first got here in the fall. And my first game was the Notre Dame game. And so I'm on the sidelines. I'm shooting it. I think you were on the field as well.
Yeah.
And my dad's texting me. He's like, are you seeing this? I'm like, I am, actually. Like, can you see me on TV? I'm on the sidelines.
I'm actually 8 seconds ahead of you right now because of the live TV delay.
He gets so mad. He's like, don't tell me what happened. So then he'll text me while we're at Bud or anything else. And he's like, oh my gosh, this play. He'll record it. Like, he'll take a video of the TV. He's like, did you see this?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
my mom used to do that where she's like, look, Evan, it's you on TV, and like post it on Facebook. I'm like, yes, Mom, I know I'm sitting courtside right now at the Duke game and Arkansas is about to win. And this is crazy. I know what I'm doing.
Our parents are our biggest fans, basically, is what we're getting at.
Absolutely.
But you will have seats with your family at the Missouri game on Saturday.
Yes.
Arkansas ranked number 20. Missouri unranked, but still an SEC game. What? I don't know how to quite phrase this. Like,
are they going to win?
Sure, we can start there. Yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be a bounce back game. Look, you've got to defend home court. You're trying to still keep pace with Bama and Kentucky, and there's a really big conglomerate of teams outside of Florida. Florida, I think, is like 12-2 right now, and then in the SEC, and then everyone else, there's about 6 teams that are anywhere between 9-4 and 8-5, 7-6. So you've got to keep pace in that pack because it's important that you get that second round bye in the SEC tournament. So this game means a lot. It's going to be important. You want to make sure you're not playing in Nashville until Friday, which would be the top 4 teams, or Thursday, whatever it ends up being. I don't really know the schedule off the top of my head, but you've got to keep being up with the pace of this group, and you got to keep winning. So every game down the stretch is important, and it's tough. You've got Missouri, you've got A&M, you're going to see Texas, who's been playing really good. Buckyball's been falling apart at A&M. You know, the Longhorns are in the groove. Then you got Florida. If you could find a way in these next 4 games to win, let's say, 3 of those, you're putting yourself in good shape. And then I think you got Missouri again to close the year, and maybe one more game I'm blanking on. So it's stretch time right now. Every game is important. It's important that they win. I do think they'll bounce back against Missouri on Saturday.
Especially being at home, coming back off being the road. What do you think the atmosphere at Bud's going to be like? Because there's a lot going on the Hill. Baseball has opening weekend. Softball's in town. They're hosting a tournament. Like, there's a lot going on. I think, is track here also?
Arkansas qualifier.
Yep. So
tennis is in town.
Pretty much every spring sport in action is here.
Yeah, I picked a really bad weekend for my parents to come in town. I was saying that to Hayden earlier before we were recording. But I think it's a great time for basketball because you've got baseball at 1 o'clock. So you'll have fans who are at baseball who leave and then go to basketball. Same with Bogle. Whoever is going to be at Bogle, Arkansas is going to run rule them. Like that Razorback softball team. Go watch the rubber match. Can't wait to talk about them. They're going to be good. So I think everyone's going to kind of migrate towards Bud Walton Arena. It's going to be a great weekend, a very fun weekend here at the University of Arkansas. Can't wait. I'm just excited. What a weekend we've got in store.
Yeah. All right. Last thing before we wrap it up. Main takeaways that you think they need to work on. Maybe
Defense.
Just 1 or 2. Okay. 1 or 2 things that they really need to focus on in this game that should be a very comfortable win for Arkansas.
It's funny because Cal doesn't like to play this way, but Arkansas is at their best when they're sharing the basketball. If you look at this game last night against Alabama,
Acuff
Arkansas
had
as a team had 15 total team assists. Acuff had 5 of 15. Anytime Arkansas tends to get from 20 plus, they win the game. And I know Cal doesn't like to play that way because then he's like, well, one guy's going to score. That's how your team is winning, John. Play the way your team plays to win. It's sharing the ball, it's getting guys involved, and it's scoring. Whenever you have more than 20 assists, you tend to win. I know you don't like to play that way, but guess what? Your team does, and you win. Get 20 plus assists, beat the crap out of Missouri, and then go in this stretch run, final 4 games of the season with everything to prove and everything on your shoulder to get a top 4 seed come March Madness.
I couldn't have ended this episode better myself. You heard Evan. Share the ball, better defense. That's what Arkansas needs to do against Missouri on Saturday. That'll do it here in studios. Evan, thanks so much for joining me. This was a ton of fun. You'll probably see him back next week.
I better be. Thanks, guys.